Welcome to Factorio Masterclass. My name is Nilaus and we're here with our Space Age starter base for Novice. It is a beautiful base. It looks absolutely amazing. All of these crisp designs just coming together now and it's absolutely glorious. So what do we do after this? Well, obviously we go to space because it's called Space Age. So about time we head to space, and that's what we're going to do today. We are going to be doing two designs, one for a small space station hovering over Novice, making a very simple space science, and the other one is a light freighter that will be able to do all the transport between the inner planets, that is Novice, Vulcanus, Gleba, and Fulgora. It has been tested extensively for that, and it works really well. And I think we have some really cool designs that will they'll basically sort of take care of your inner planet transport needs. So, if that sounds interesting, be sure to settle in, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff, and let's do some design work. The first thing we're going to take a look at is the Space Science Station, and it's going to be a very simple build, and I'll try to get it built for us as quickly as possible. We are going to need some of this. Go around here. We're just going to make a platform so we don't have to worry about the size of it. Then we're going to be saying, what is it we want to make? We want to make that one. We're also going to get some solar panels because, of course, and we need, I just know we need 6 of these because that will give us 1.5 per second, and 1.5 per second is exactly the same as we have down on the ground. So that seems like the best option for building it the same size. Then we need to have 0.6 iron plates and 0.3 ice and 0.3 carbon. So we do need to get a little bit of each of these. That'll be like 1, 2, 3. And we also need a furnace for the iron smelting. So each of these will have one. We'll have one of each. And then this one will be here, just so that it actually starts processing. And then we'll have a look at what this is like. So what we can see now is that we can see producing 1.5, we have an excess of iron ore, we have an excess of carbon, excess of ice, and a tiny excess of iron plates. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I just want to get this in and out of this location. Of course, we also need a lot of asteroid collectors as well to be set up here. So what we want to do is we want to find a way that we can get like the maximum coverage of this. And I'm going to do it like this here. And you are going to be on the same side over on there. So basically, this allows me to go out, out, in, and then build that on either side there. This allows me to get some of this done as well. These are, of course, going to be looking awful because of sizing here or space. And then we just need these items here to be also placed on this platform. And we're going to do that. Let's see. You're going to be... Oh, let's cut them instead. You can be over here, and you can be over here. Then I can still have room for that one and that one. They can still get in, like so. There. And you are going to be out and in. You're going to be out and in. So all of this is good. Now we just need a little bit more, and I also want one down here as well. So I can get... You can be over there, and you can be over on that side. That should be fine. Let's remove that. And then just all we need is just a little bit of power in the corners. We don't really need a lot of power for this. And let me see, this is in and out, in and out. Yes. And we can just remove all the rest. So now it is technically working, but it is not controlled. So it'll just grab stuff from out here. Let's look at power-wise. It's a little bit problematic. So what we're going to do is we're going to be putting all of this out here. Oops. Okay, that was fun. Here, and we're going to need more. There we go. That should get us easily enough power. There we go. Not easily, but enough. And maybe you're just thinking, hey, you don't have that until you complete it. But that's fine. Just get the first little bit of science, get some efficiency modules, or send efficiency modules 1 up, and then replace them with modules 2 when you have them. Right, so now we need to get some kind of control over this. And we're going to do that with a simple circuit command. And it'll just consist of... I want to make this as simple as possible because I want this to be something that anyone can do. And if we make it too advanced and too many sort of things that the circuit network can do, then it'll just be too advanced for everyone to follow along. So I'm going to do this. Basically, I'm going to have a constant combinator that will tell me how much do I want inside my storage box, inside this one. So I don't and then I stop the various machines based on if they have enough. Then I'm going to do here, it's going to be the science, that one, and then I am going to get here. I want some ice, I want carbon, I want iron ore, and I want iron plate. And then finally we want the science. So these ones, they don't stack, so I'm just going to make them into 5 because we don't want that many there. So we get this, and then all the other things I just want a single stack, or basically I want 50 of each here. So we just set that to 50. This will just be, hey, get 1 stack of this, and then we should be fine. And this one I want 2,000 because that's going to be the majority. So now we've told, we have a single place where we say how much do we want. So all we need to do is now take, this is coming in red wire, and how much we actually have is coming in the green wire. So what we want to take is, we want to take each input on the red wire, that's what we want, minus each input on the green wire. So this tells us how much more do we want. So if it's a negative number, that means we have too much. If it's a positive number, we need more. Okay, so that's actually what this one tells us. And then this one just simply goes out to all the inputs, like that one. And then it goes up here, goes to that input, to this input, goes to here, 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 here. That's an input, that one. That's an input, and that's an input, and there. So now that's done all of it. And then I'm going to set the filter, because this is receiving the filter of anything they should pick up. Right now they want to pick up everything. Then I'm going to set the filter for everything else. This one should be saying, okay, you're only going to grab iron ore when this is greater than 0, because that means we need it. And this one, also very important, this one should be filtered to iron ore, because otherwise it might actually take iron plates and turn that into steel. Oops, that's not great. Anything else don't need to be filtered, but they still need to be set up here. This one is making carbon, so it should actually be filtered not on the asteroid, but on the carbon, basically saying, do we want more carbon? If yes, put it in. If no, don't put it in. This one over here is kind of the same. This one will set, do you want more ice? If so, then keep going. And the last one is down here, and this one is going to be looking at just the iron ore. Oh, and all should be greater than 0. And this one should, don't set the filters, thank you very much. I don't know how I did, oh, I clicked the set filter, that's why. There. All right. That is good. So I didn't want to set filter, I just want this one. So this is, when that is greater than 0, then put it in if we have it. Yes. All right. And what we should be seeing is this one is saying we still want more iron, but we certainly don't want more iron ore, and we don't want more of the other ones. And then it starts processing. The last thing we need is just to say how much white science do we need. Oh, still has to be greater than 0. Copy, paste, 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 and paste. And that is actually it. This is a very simple build. And you can see now that it's only missing the oxide asteroids. And here you can set up how much you want. You can also just click on this one and you can sort of see how much is missing. So it's still missing ice. It still want more oxide chunks. It's starting to process the iron ore into this one. So now the question is, does this work? Well, yes and no. It certainly works, but it also certainly could be better. Because the problem with this one is that around Nilaus, there's just not a lot of things floating around. So you're just not going to get very much, which means that it's probably going to be starving. There are 2 ways of solving this. One is to just make a gigantic platform so that you sort of have more area, surface area to grab. Okay, another option is having it fly back and forth, but that gets a lot more complicated, and thrusters require white science, so that's it. What I'm going to do is this one, we're going to leave it as it is, and it will just eventually over time, it'll build what we need, and it'll be idle most of the time when this one fills up to all it needs. I can also just take some of this out here, so that it's more obvious how much space we actually have left and what we want to do with it. And we can then say, okay, 2,000 is 1 row, so we can actually easily have this one go up to 4,000 or maybe even 8,000. Probably let's set it to 6,000, because we'll have 5 chunks plus 5 chunks plus 5 chunks. That's 15 chunks, and then we'll have maybe some residual things here that will be sending those back. But then we'll have 2 stacks, plus 2 stacks, plus 1 stack, plus 2 stacks. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 plus 15, 22. So we still have like at least 3 full rows left, and that will be reserved for the science pack. So 6,000 is a good number to have here, and then it'll just work and then drop down to the base, to the planet when needed. There we go. That is the first design, and this is granted a very, very easy design. If you want to scale up, you can just build the same one again and again and again, and that's better than building this one bigger, because then you sort of have a new range of asteroids coming in if you build it again. So that's it, and onwards to the next one. Alright, so the next one is going to be a light freighter, and I call it like this because it's not going to be having a massive storage space, but it's going to be quick and cheap and efficient, and it's going to be durable. It'll work between Nilaus, Vulcanus, Gleba, and Fulgora, so you can build this, and you can build many of them, as many as you want, and they'll be taking care of all of your inner planet transports for basically for the rest of the game without having without having many quality components. You can also do it exclusive without quality components, but I think it's better to do it with a little bit of quality components. First thing we're going to do is we're going to be let's see, this funny how that's going to be like this. We're going to be building just a little bit of platform here so we can get some working space. The principle of this is we have to do some kind of compromises when building this, like how big do you want it, and how the bigger you build it, the faster, the more durable, the more space, the more cargo capacity you have, but the smaller would be cheaper, and the first one is kind of cheap. So the first decision I do here in this case is sort of get a sense of, okay, I want 4 cargo bays here. We're not going to make them better, but they're just 4 cargo bays. That's a good place to start. The next thing we want to do is we have some things that we want to do, and one of them is we want to make ammo for defending the ship, and that's going to be up front. Then we're going to be making fuel. That's going to be at the back. That's basically the premise. Then we're going to be having what I would say my patented setup for how to move things around, and that is a sushi belt going around the base here. So let's start with making the ammo production, because that's going to be like a fundamental part of this. Right, so the way that it works is we have to remember that we only have the blue inserters at this, or blue assemblers at this point, so we're going to have to make do with those for now. There, is that correct? I think that is. And these just make yellow ammo. Good. Actually, we want to make some of this first, so we have some power. Great. Then we want to get the furnaces done, and the furnaces can be done in sort of a design like this. There. That is about as simple as it gets. And we're going to be using exclusively yellow inserters here, or yellow, that's green. Green inserters up here. So what this one will do is it will get, if we look at this one here, this will be the iron ore in, which means that now that can be put into each of these boxes in a really neat way, like this. So iron ore on this comes out, goes back in here. Of course, it goes into this, so we have 4 iron into that. And of course, all of this just gets these efficiency modules. There we go. Now, outbound wise, well, that's going to be a little bit more complicated, because we are going to be getting it. We want it to be put back into this location. Into the box, into the storage. That's kind of just I think that's the best way to do this. Right, let's put it here. Unfortunately, this is an odd number wide, so it's not going to be fitting perfectly in here, unfortunately. All right, so what we want to do is I want to be outputting here, like that, and here, oops, like this and like this. So you're going to be outputting on this line, and you're going to be outputting on that line. And these will now go in and in. And this will obviously be filtered too. I don't need to filter this because that's the only thing that will be on this belt, but it's just nice to illustrate what it is. And that will be constrained so we don't fill up this box. But this thing is perfect. All it needs is an input from from here. So if we want to make, and I do want to make a dedicated input for this one, this will be making here. And then I'm going to be outputting you, but only the iron ore outbound. Great. So iron ore comes out here, and then we'll just have to figure out how to get it. We're going to have a sushi belt around here. I am really, really keen on sushi belts for spaceships. They are just absolutely amazing. And there, this will be my circular sushi belt of sushiness. There we go. There. That's going to be sort of the premise of this. The reason why I'm doing that way is because I will have the inside belt be asteroids and the outside belt be ammo. So we want it full of ammo on the outside belt. We want it almost full of asteroids on the inner side. So that's going to be our premise. And then up here, we are going to be getting inbound. And if I do this, then, man, this is one of my pet peeves in one of my many pet peeves in Factorio, is that the rule of where it outputs is that it outputs in the right hand side in the direction of travel. That would mean that it would be outputting here on the below side, which means that it is going to be on the inside. That would be perfect, except for some odd reason, when you're inserting on a curve bed, it will always insert in the corner. Even though it doesn't fit with the normal rule, but it'll insert in the corner, which means that in this case, it'll actually insert on the wrong side. There is luckily a way to fix it by doing a longhand inserter, because then it outputs out here, which will then be following the basic rule of saying right hand side in the direction of travel. Sigh, but it works. Right, so what this does is now gives us a lot of, it gives us or asteroids come in here, gets turned into iron, iron gets turned to iron plates, and iron plates can turn into yellow ammo goes in here, and then it can then go from here, it can then go out onto the bus, or out onto here, and then fill up the outer belt. Cool, that's all the ammo taken care of. Then let's take a look at power, because I can actually, and I want to actually use yellow, or use a little bit of quality here. That one. This is the quality we're going to need. We're just going to, if you have some rare quality, by all means throw them in here, but I'm going to say you definitely have some uncommon quality, because if you've been following this design, then out here, back on this base, this one will be a prime candidate for some of this. There we go. And that will give you a little bit of rare quality. Not a lot. This will be, the quality is 4%. But hey, 4% chance of getting an uncommon, then considering how much solar panels we need, you're going to have enough uncommon quality. You might even have enough rare quality to use those. But we're going to use it here because that's going to be enough. So that gets us the power. Kill that one. So this is basically it. You cannot imagine how much I hate the fact that it's not centered here. But, you know, we got to deal with it. Then the next part is how we're going to get the front done, and it does so it doesn't fall off. There we go. That's going to be here. And you know, this one, I will actually do the same thing as what I did before. I'm also going to insist on using this as a... that does not seem correct. This one should be one inbound. There. Right. So these will also be uncommon because they just make so much, they're so much better with uncommon. They have a bigger size area, and they have 2 grabbers, and the grabbers arms are faster as well. It's just so much better. Then we're going to be doing the protection on the front. We're simply going to make, that's actually so interesting how this sometimes works. There we go. And they are also going to be on this side, and input, 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 input. Right. So we're going to have lots more of that. We can also build it here and then get it in here. And then that. And then, of course, fill in this dead space. There you go. That is a really good front defense. I am not going to put something on the outside. The reason why I'm not putting something on the outside is because on the outside, it'll shoot a lot of stuff here on the side. So I want the majority of our ammo or our guns to be focused in the middle, a slim area, because you can see how much it reaches to the side. It'll actually shoot stuff that's coming here that will never reach us. So we want it sort of packed in the middle. Good. That is the front. Good. And the only thing missing is just these inbound here. Great. And we start filling up this belt. Cool. So let's also trim the sides here, because that's going to be about the size of the ship. There. So that's now trimmed. We are going to get this here on the side as well. So let's build it on here. That one. And you're going to be... Yeah, and that will be output. Because it's going to be right-hand side in the direction of travel. This means it puts out on the outside. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side and realize the awfulness that this is. That we actually have to lose one like this. Damn, it sucks, but that's just unfortunately how it is, because the middle one here is a little bit odd. It's an odd number here. All right, this is good. Now, all of this is just chugging along and just making an awful lot of ammo, which is fine for now. It'll just be getting ready. Then, the big part down here is the fuel, or the fuel production. We are going to need to get a fuel production. That means we need to get the thrusters. Let's see, the thrusters, they are here. And how many thrusters do we want for this kind of ship? Well, I want 3. And these, for some reason, just never can be placed correctly. Here, and here. That one, and that one. So this is going to be our thruster size. And it will be done in a very simple way. I want to have thrust control, so everything that comes in here must be using a pump to get in here. This works great, because now I can just put the oxidizer in on this side. It goes in here and also automatically feeds here. And so it goes in here, and then automatically feeds that through here. And the same with the fuel on the other side. So this should be good. Now we want to make all of this intermediates here. That's this one. There we go. And we're simply going to make like that. So what we're going to do is we are going to say we're going to need some water in the middle. And the water is going to be needed for... this will be fuel. And this over here will be the oxidizer, obviously, so that it fits. This fuel and oxidizer build, we are going to put that into a box, like so, and there. The water over on the side will just be like that. So we got the water coming in and spread out between all of these locations, and we have the fuel coming into these 2 locations. And then all I need to do is actually just set this one up, and then we can see that this fits, ta-da, perfectly down here. Great. There's a little bit of dead space. We'll solve that later on, but this is really neat. Now, what this needs is it needs some carbon. What this needs is it needs some iron. What this needs is it needs some ice. So we need to make an ice bucket here. That could be like this, and we're going to need another bucket like that and that. And these will go here, here, but these will also be filtered, because they are not going to take everything. That one, and this is going to be filtered to carbon. And I'll get you on a carbon, this one an iron, and this one an ice. And then we just want the ice to go in here. There, perfect. Okay, so now I just want these 2 things combined. If only there was a way. I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to take this out as well. And then we're just simply going to go up here and then smash it in. Smash it. And we've done this kind of design before, because it's basically the same design as that one up here, which means I'm going to be grabbing, and I am going to export out here, but only these things. We put ice on there. That was a mistake. Right, and it will just be outputting on the right hand side. So that's the inside of the belt. This is going fine. And I just realized that I put it way too close. So I'm going to be taking all of this and go one out. 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 Hold on. Out has to be before the in. So it can recycle. There we go. So this now gets us everything we want here, and we can then take I'll take you and make that into power there. Okay, this is working really well. What we're missing is, well, kind of obviously the thruster control. We also, if we go to map view and look at the coverage, we do not have any coverage down here. We don't need a lot, but we do need some when it's parked over a planet. We need to make sure that it's actually safe. And the way we're going to do that is, we also need here. So I'm going to put that there. There's perfect room for it. And that's going to be that. And you're going to be like this. Out and out. Great. So we now have 6 grabbers here, mostly up front, but also here on the side. That should be nice as well. And let's also get some more solar panels. We can get those down here. There. Solar panels. And let's look at power now, or I can build here and here. Then I can take there. And then we can do exactly the same on the other side. And flip it and just build it there. Flip it the other way. And there you go. So now we have coverage down here. We don't have coverage down here, but if only we had an option for that, which we actually do. It's kind of silly, but it works. I can leap these in here and get that one and that one. And suddenly that dead space isn't so dead anymore. And now if you look at the coverage, it is perfect coverage. There's a little bit at the back, there's some on the side, and there's majority at the front. That's looking pretty neat. So we now have the ship protected, we have everything grabbed, we have fuel production, we have ammo production. All we need is just controlling the damn thing, which again is going to be exactly the same as what we did before. We are going to have a single location, a single one here. This one will tell us everything we want. And then I'm going to go over to the other one to simply copy this, because if it works on this one, it's going to work on the other one. And that's the light freighter. We'll build that here. Take you out and take you over here. So the red one comes in here. That's looking good. And then the green one comes in from the storage. We are going to be doing less storage on here, because we're not going to be putting everything here. We're not putting things back in the storage box. We are only putting in the ammo actually, but nothing else. So what we want to do is we want to monitor that, but we also want to monitor the belt, because the belt is going to be our primary storage. So I'm going to go here, read content, and read the entire belt. So now we can see what we're getting in. This is how much we have combined between the box storage and the belt storage. Then we also, on top of that, also want to monitor how much we have in the various boxes, like this, because that's also an input for us on what we want. Good. So that's all the inputs we need. We have the belt, we have the tanks, and we have the central storage. Good. Then we can go over here and say how much we want. We don't want any of this. We don't actually want any of this. So that's kind of silly that we don't have anything like that. But what we want to say is we want to monitor how much we got of that and how much we got of what we don't actually need to monitor water. We want to monitor this, and we want to monitor that there. So it's only actually these 3 things we want to monitor, and then we just set some numbers that we like. I'm going to say 500. I know that this belt can store a little bit over 300, so having a full belt plus some in the stockpile is very nice. And this one should then be maybe, I don't know, 5,000. And this one should be also 5,000. There. So that will give us an indication. What we also need up here is this is actually reading the speed. That's the velocity of the ship. That is also going to be fed in here. Then I'm also going to set a velocity measurement here and saying what is the maximum velocity we want to go with. And I'm going to just set 200. It's a reasonable speed, and this will now be the max speed. So now we basically have maximum velocity minus the actual velocity, which is 0. How much is that? That's the output. So now what we want to do is, this is just telling us everything we want to know about what should be built. Now the thing is, I don't want to constrain any of this, because this will just be working and filling up these boxes, and when the boxes are full, there's nothing more to do. We could also just, while we're at it, do this one. And just put those here, because there's just a little bit of space. Why not? When we get to full Gora, we might appreciate that. Then, I mean, there's also the option of making the ship a little bit lighter, but it kind of looks weird when it slims in here, so I don't want to do that. Right. Also, that's important. Oh, that's not... It's also important not to overdo it. There we go. And water is, of course, a problem. And there. You are not done. Yeah. Anything and everything is now updated with modules, with product efficiency modules. Great. So now we need to get this to be controlling what we want. So I'm going to control that up here and here. These ones will then say, okay, you will only go, and this is the simple part. I don't have to consider how much. I just say go when it's above 0, because above 0 means that we still want more. This is the beauty of doing this part, where you subtract what you want versus what you want minus what you have. If that's a positive number, that means you still want more. Brilliant. Then we're going to be going over on a tour to control these outputs, and that will just have to go like this. There. That one, and back again. Then this one will be setting filter. Oh, right. Now it's not setting any filter, because it's not monitoring how much is on the belt. And that's actually important as well. So we do need something extra here. That one, please go down here. And then I'm going to set how much I actually want on the belt. That is correct. And I said there was a little bit more than 300, so I'm going to put 90 of these on the belt. And say if I want about 90 of each, because that will be like, with a little bit of buffer, that'll be about 100. So now it works, and if we look at this, it says I want 90 of each, and I have 3, and I don't know why I have 1 ice. I shouldn't have ice anywhere on this belt, but apparently I do have a random ice thing here. And that's going to be something we can deal with. I'm just going to get it out next time it passes by. And hopefully that doesn't sneak into the blueprint when I'm done. Right. That means they want to get everything they can. These are going to be constrained when I am full on firearms or on normal ammo. Then what else do we want? We want to control this. We want to control the thrust here, so that they don't put any thrust in unless they absolutely need it. And therefore I can put it down here and there. And this one will then say you are going to be enabled when the velocity, when I need more velocity. That's basically the same as all the other ones. They said, yes, you need more velocity. Then add more thrust down here. Great. What I don't like is the fact that nothing seems to be working here. Why are you not working? You're not getting a single ice in here, or is it because this one? This one is full of some other junk. There we go. And we get the water going. Great. So water comes up, gets into storage. I don't want to monitor the storage, but I'll just be kind of an extra buffer if these should ever be full. I doubt that they will. There we go. We got the last ice box here off of the belt. So if we now look at it, then we can see all the things we have is all the things we have down here in various quantities. The only exception is that one. Okay. And then the velocity, we don't have velocity yet, of course. Right, so last thing we want to do is, since we want to have all the stations, maybe you don't have these, maybe you don't, but I'm going to be making this very simple setup for all of them. I'm going to say time pass 30 seconds and a circuit condition. That means it must get a green signal of greater than 0. The green signal is the go signal that says this ship is ready to depart. It has what it needs to leave the planet and go somewhere else, and should be able to get there safely. That's how this works. I can add the other stations as well, but if I do, then I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this should be fine. We'll go for Volcanus as well, and then you can add the other ones if you want for when you have those. There we go. And that's going to be green, and there. I kind of want to add all of them because maybe you don't want to go to Volcanus first. So I'll just add all of these to our setup here. And green, and then it should be obvious by now what the last one should be. And Fulgora, and... Oh, that's an interrupt. We do not like interrupts. That one there, and circuit condition here and there. So that means wait 30 seconds and get a green signal that you're allowed to go. So we need to actually get that green signal and figure out what that does. And then I will be doing another circuit condition, which is going to get the output from here. And this one will just say, okay, what needs to be true in order for this to go? Well, we must have some amount of this, we must have some amount of that, and we must have some amount of ammo. Once those three are true, then we're allowed to go. Now, and they must all be true. When all three of these are true, then that's fine. And it's actually true that it's going to be like this, less than or equal to 0, because when it reaches 0, this is measuring how much remaining is needed. And as you can see, there's still a lot of stuff remaining. And when that reaches 0 or less, then it actually will send a green signal. So it'll send a green signal once it is done. There we go. And that green signal will just have to go back in here. I'm going to put that on a red wire because I don't have the red wire going in already. And then that gets in here, and that will send a clear signal that you're allowed to go and depart the planet. And that's actually all I needed for this spaceship. So what are we going to do is we're going to simply wait for a little bit for it to go. What we could do is actually simply just do like this. And then when it gets the green signal that it has enough ammo, let's have a look here. Then the thruster fuel is good. The oxidizer is not good. And the firearms is almost ready as well. There we go. It is actually departing just as it hit 500. What we see now is the thrust will should hover around here. This is disabled. Yes, disabled. So it's now burning through the thrust, and it'll drop down in thrust below 200. And then it'll get a little bit of burst here, and then the burst stops. You can see here, disabled by control behavior, it working, and then it stops. So now it's going to be hovering around the 200 mark. It'll get a little bit in the beginning, that's fine. And up front, let's have a look at how it's shooting. Remember, this is with the minimum or the maximum amount of ammo you can get without getting yellow signs. And this is really important because we don't have access to yellow signs by the time we leave, so we must be able to go safely with this level of research. And this level of research is where is that? Here. We have level 5, which is the highest level you can get with just the blue signs, and then the next one, level 6, requires yellow signs, which we don't have. So we actually our ammo is pretty bad, and that's why we also use quite a lot of it. But hey, that's just how it is. We don't have any tech that will boost this. And we are now arriving at Volcanus safely, and there. So you can see it flies very confidently at 200 kilometers per second. It gets all this. And if we look at the launch condition, how far we are from the launch condition, yeah, it's used all the fuel, and it's also used 200 and something ammo for this trip. And then it just sort of sits here, unloads, loads, and it will take some time before it builds up enough thruster fuel to depart again. That's just how it is in the beginning when with these kind of ships. They are not going to be departing super quickly. That only happens when you have better recipes, but we don't have that yet. So this is about as good as we can get with a spaceship with just starter components. And I love it, and it works. And I've been sort of running it from all the different places, and it works. The one thing you should be careful of or consider of is that this is the minimum amount of solar panels you have. This is the amount of solar panels we have. And going to Fulgora, that has less solar panels or solar effect in orbit, and that means actually you are going to be struggling a little bit on power when you get to Fulgora. It doesn't really matter much because it just means it takes a little bit slower. It just winds down a little bit, accumulates a little bit slower, but it's not going to go into a death spiral or anything like that. So of course, as usual, these two blueprints, the blueprint for this spaceship and for the other ones, they are available as patron in the patron package. But if you're not a patron, that's also perfectly fine. We have now designed the whole thing on camera, so you can take a look at yourself. You can do the optimizations, you can do some changes, you can make bigger, smaller, better in whatever way you want. But this one is something I'm really happy with. It also has a really nice shape, actually, a somewhat spaceship shape. So really like it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, thank you very much to patron supporters who are supporting the channel and the work I do here. Until then, next time, take care and stay effective.